$2,800. That's what you'll pay for a basic one-bedroom apartment in Vancouver. Shocked? Well, that's $500 more than what you'd pay in Sydney, a city that was once known as one of the world's most expensive places to live. But here's where it gets really interesting. In the last 12 months alone, rent prices in these cities have jumped more than 25%. That means if you're earning $60,000 a year, nearly half of your income is now going straight to your landlord. And it's not just housing. Your morning coffee ritual. In Melbourne, you're looking at $5.50 for a regular latte. That's almost $1 more than Toronto. Add that up over a year, and you're spending an extra $300 just on coffee. Today, we're diving into 10 major cities across Australia and Canada, and I'll show you exactly where your money goes furthest. Stay until the end, because the most affordable city on our list saves you $1,200 every month compared to the most expensive one. And trust me, it's not where you think. Did you know that Australia and Canada are both going through their worst cost of living crisis in 30 years? Here's a simple way to understand it. Something that cost you $100 last year would now set you back $120. That's real money coming straight from your wallet. Now, you might wonder where these numbers come from. Well, we did our homework. We spent months gathering actual prices from major rental websites like Zillow and Domain. We didn't stop there. We visited local grocery stores, looked at transport fares, and studied official government price reports. Every single number we're sharing comes from actual prices we found in January 2024. Let's talk about the 10 most popular cities we looked at. Starting with Australia. There's Sydney with its beautiful harbor. Melbourne, where you'll find the best coffee in the country. Brisbane, where the sun always seems to shine. Perth, with its booming mining industry. Adelaide, where there's always a festival happening. Over in Canada, we checked out Vancouver with its stunning mountain backdrop. Toronto, where business is always booming. Montreal, that feels like a piece of Europe and Canada. Calgary, with its thriving energy sector. Ottawa, where the country's big decisions are made. What makes our research special is that we're not just throwing numbers around. We're showing you exactly what you'll spend your money on, from paying your rent and buying groceries to getting around town, paying your utility bills, and even enjoying yourself on weekends. By the time you finish watching this, you'll know down to the dollar what life costs in each city. Everything from your morning cup of coffee to catching a movie on the weekend. Housing costs are the most expensive part of your monthly bills. These numbers might make you think carefully about where you want to move. In downtown Vancouver, you'll need to shell out $2,800 for a basic one-bedroom apartment, making it our most expensive city. Toronto isn't far behind at $2,600, while Sydney, which used to top these lists, now sits at $2,300. If you're looking to save money, Montreal is your best bet, with decent one-bedrooms, still available at $1,600 in prime locations. Here's something interesting most people don't know. Just by moving 30 minutes away from any city center, you can save almost a third of your rent. Take Brisbane, for example. While you'd pay $1,900 for a one-bedroom downtown, the same money gets you a two-bedroom place in the suburbs. Or better yet, you could pocket the $600 difference by choosing a similar one-bedroom away from the city center. Families searching for three-bedroom homes will find the best deals in Adelaide's suburbs at $1,800 monthly. Compare that to Sydney, where you'll pay $3,200 for the same setup, or Vancouver at $3,100. Melbourne sits in the middle at $2,800, while Calgary offers decent value at $2,000. Now about those bills no one talks about. Your monthly utilities in Calgary will hit your wallet hardest at $300 because of those freezing winters. Meanwhile, Perth residents face the highest water bills due to scarcity. Internet costs stay pretty steady across both countries, ranging from $60 to $80, but Canadians pay about 20% more for phone plans than their Australian counterparts. Let's talk about those sneaky costs that surprise most people. When you're planning your move, remember that Canadian landlords can ask for up to 2 months' rent as a security deposit, while Australian ones usually want just 1 month. Australian real estate agents might charge up to 2 weeks' rent as their fee. Don't forget about application fees in Canada. They're around $25 to $50, though Australia has banned these. Both countries will run your credit check for about $30 to $45. Here's a money-saving secret I discovered. If you've got a solid rental history and steady income, some landlords in Ottawa and Adelaide will actually skip the security deposit altogether. That's $2,000 you get to keep in your pocket right from the start. Thinking about buying instead of renting. The numbers might make your head spin. In Sydney, prepare to pay around $850,000 for an average 2-bedroom apartment. Vancouver's not much better at $820,000. Melbourne and Toronto offer slightly better deals at $680,000 and $650,000 respectively. But Montreal stands out as the best value with similar apartments going for $420,000. And here's a quick reality check. To comfortably afford these homes, financial advisors say your yearly income should be about a third of the property price. Looking at these numbers, it's no wonder why people are starting to explore smaller cities. Everyone needs to buy certain things to live, and I checked the prices at big supermarkets in all 10 cities. What I found was really surprising. When you buy basic groceries for a week, things like milk, bread, eggs, chicken, rice, and some fruits and vegetables, you'll spend different amounts in each city. In Vancouver, these foods cost $115. In Melbourne, the same foods cost less at $98. And in Montreal, they're even cheaper at $85. The most expensive city for groceries. That's Sydney at $120. Looking at single items, milk costs $4.50 for a gallon in Toronto, but goes up to $6.20 in Perth. Eggs are $5.80 for 12 in Vancouver, but only $4.20 in Adelaide. Even bread prices are different. In Sydney, you pay $3.50 for a basic loaf, while in Montreal, it's just $2.80. Want to save money? Buy store brands, they're 30% cheaper. In Australia, buy from Woolworths Essentials and Coles Smart Buy. In Canada, buy no name at Loblaws or Compliments at Sobeys. When you eat out, prices change a lot too. A burger and fries costs $18 in Sydney, $16 in Vancouver, and $14 in Calgary. If you want to eat at a restaurant, you'll pay about $25 per person in Melbourne, but less in Ottawa at $20. If you like coffee, prices are very different in each city. A normal lat is $5.50 in Melbourne, $4.80 in Vancouver, and $4.20 in Montreal. Buy coffee every workday, and that adds up to a lot of money. Moving around the city costs money too. A monthly bus and train pass in Toronto is $180. In Brisbane, it's $140. And Perth has the best price at $130. If you drive, here's what gas costs. Sydney, $1.80 per liter. Vancouver, $1.75 per liter. Brisbane, $1.65 per liter. Montreal, $1.55 per liter. Calgary, $1.45 per liter. Taking an Uber for 15 minutes costs about $22 in Melbourne, $25 in Toronto, and $20 in Ottawa. But here's a good tip. You can use city bikes for just $15 to $20 each month, and sometimes they're faster than cars in busy traffic. Here's one more way to save money. Use phone apps that show grocery prices in different stores. This can save you up to $200 every month by helping you buy from the cheapest stores. Now comes the exciting part. Let's talk about what it actually costs to enjoy life in these cities. After all, no one moves to a new country just to work and stay home, right? Coffee in Australia is really special, and you can see this in the prices. In Melbourne, a good lat costs $5.50, and people say it's worth the money. Their coffee is so good it wins world prizes. Sydney's coffee is a bit cheaper at $5.20, and in Vancouver, you'll pay $4.80. Good news, if you're in Montreal, you can get great coffee for only $4.20. If you want to make coffee at home, you'll need to spend about $800 for a good coffee machine in Australia. But in Canada, these machines cost more, about $950, because they have to ship them from other countries. Going to the gym costs different amounts in each city. Big gyms like Furthest or Good Life cost $65 every month in Sydney, $60 in Toronto, and $55 in Brisbane. The best price is in Montreal at $45. But here's a helpful tip. Every city has public gyms that cost half as much, and they usually have swimming pools and better machines. Healthcare in these countries looks free on paper, but there's more to the story. While both Australia and Canada have public healthcare, in Australia you'll need private health insurance to avoid a tax penalty. Basic coverage starts at $120 monthly in Sydney and Melbourne, slightly less at $110 in Brisbane. Canadian cities don't require this, but many people still get additional coverage for dental and prescriptions, costing about $90 monthly in Vancouver and Toronto. Car insurance shows some shocking differences. In Toronto, you're looking at about $250 monthly for basic coverage, the highest in all our cities. Vancouver follows at $200, while Australian cities are much cheaper. Adelaide drivers pay just $80 monthly, and Brisbane residents around $90. That's a $2,000 yearly difference just on car insurance alone. Looking at all these prices and costs, we can now see how much it really costs to live in these 10 cities. The results are quite eye-opening. Let's start with the wallet burners. The most expensive cities to live in right now. Vancouver takes the crown, where you'll need at least $85,000 yearly just to live comfortably. Sydney comes in second, eating up about $82,000 of your yearly salary for a similar lifestyle. Toronto rounds out our top three, requiring around $78,000 yearly. What makes these cities so expensive isn't just the rent. It's the combination of high housing costs, hefty taxes, and those sneaky hidden expenses we talked about. But here's the good news. The most affordable cities offer an amazing lifestyle without breaking the bank. Montreal leads the pack, where $60,000 a year gets you the same quality of life that would cost $85,000 in Vancouver. Adelaide surprises everyone by taking second place. Thanks to lower housing costs and reasonable taxes, you can live well on $65,000. Calgary secures the third spot, where energy sector jobs pay well and housing costs haven't gone crazy yet. Now, I'm really curious which city's costs surprised you the most. Was it Montreal being so affordable, or maybe Vancouver topping Sydney in expenses? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if these prices match your experience in any of these cities. Speaking of helping each other out, what other cities would you like to see compared? I'm thinking of covering cities in Europe next, or maybe comparing Asian cities like Singapore and Hong Kong. Tell me your suggestions in the comments, and the most requested cities will be featured in our next cost comparison. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button because next week we're starting something exciting, the Monthly Savings Challenge. We'll take these same 10 cities and show you how to save $1,000 every month, no matter which city you live in. Trust me, you don't want to miss these money-saving strategies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week with more money-saving tips.